First, fast, and accurate. News Channel 25, WVTT.
So nice to be back after a couple of weeks off.
Looks like you got a nice tan.
I did get a tan. Left the 1 week cruise, then was in Florida for a week, and I come back to as much as 6 to 8 inches of snow.
Yeah, it doesn't look like you're going to be getting a tan here in New York anytime soon.
No, what was I thinking? Let's take our first look at WVTT weather now. Earlier today, we did have a shower or two pass through the Twin Tiers. We reached all the way up, I say laughingly, to 35 degrees. Officially here in Olean. During the overnight hours, the snow kicks in. Keep in mind, in Cattaraugus and Allegheny counties, we have a winter weather watch in effect during the nighttime hours through tomorrow. A winter weather advisory in effect already for McKean and Potter counties. The snow begins overnight, low of 32, and during the daytime tomorrow, more snow, 2 to 4 inches in the towns, as much as 6 to 8 inches in the higher elevations and those favored snow belts. So lots of snow. And what's more, Alexa, that ice could make travel difficult tomorrow.
That's right. Those temperatures and the rain and snow is definitely the perfect combination for some slush.
Yeah, we're ready to activate WVTT's Operation Snowflake with school closings and delays if conditions warrant. So keep it here on News Channel 25 or visit our sister radio station, News Radio 96.7 WVTT, for our Operation Snowflake. And we'll have complete weather details straight ahead here on WVTT.
Global news update on WVTT.
With just days for Congress to avoid forced spending cuts due to sequestration, President Obama today traveled to a place where the cuts could hit the hardest, a shipyard in Newport News, Virginia. Dan Lothian reports.
From the welders to sheet metal workers who do repairs and maintenance on these massive Navy ships, Washington's inability to so far avert deep cuts has left them concerned about their futures.
Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's worried.
Last week, the military notified BAE that work on 13 ships at several of its sites would have to stop if a deal wasn't struck.
If it goes fully and we run completely out of work, there'll be a skeletal crew in here just to keep the plant up and running.
This air of uncertainty is why some members of Virginia's congressional delegation took part in a town hall meeting in Newport News Monday, where they got an earful from residents.
I've given my personal salary into my business because I love my business, and you guys, I think, need to do the same things.
This is not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. It's a national issue. It's our boys, our girls, our families.
President Obama is painting a grim picture to put pressure on Congress. This shipyard is part of his mosaic.
These cuts do not have to happen. Congress can turn them off anytime with just a little bit of compromise.
But some Republicans aren't buying it.
I think that the president needs to stop trying to scare the American people.
And at the town hall meeting, lawmakers, all convinced the cuts will happen, were blaming the president.
We welcome him to Newport News Shipbuilding. I hope he brings with him a definitive proposal with all the entourage that he'll have with him.
Dan Lothian, CNN, Newport News, Virginia.
Today marks the one-year anniversary of the death of Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman is charged with second-degree murder in the case, and attorneys for the Martin family accuse him of racially profiling the 17-year-old and shooting him in cold blood. But Zimmerman says he shot Martin in self-defense. The case has divided the country. Zimmerman has received hundreds of cards and letters from the public expressing both support and outrage. Dave Mattingly was granted exclusive access to them.
Until now, they have been the silent opinions, for and against, expressed directly to George Zimmerman. The hundreds of cards, letters, and email that only now we are allowed to see. As expected, we find words of encouragement to Zimmerman and harsh condemnation. But in those hundreds of personal and often passionate notes, we were able to look a little deeper, to look for trends, and to possibly see what is driving so many deeply held opinions. And immediately, there were some surprises. The accusations of racism and profiling that dominated demonstrations a year ago are not so prevalent in notes written to Zimmerman. Of the email condemning his actions, fewer than 10% call him a racist. Only 5% accuse him of profiling. The most common factor in opinions against George Zimmerman may have its roots right here. That mental image of Trayvon Martin buying a pack of Skittles and a can of iced tea at this convenience store before walking home to watch a basketball game. The one thing Zimmerman critics mention most is Trayvon Martin's age. 41%, in fact, condemning Zimmerman's actions explicitly mention Trayvon Martin's youth. Some calling him a 17-year-old, a teenager, a young man. But most may have formed opinions based on the younger photos of Martin publicized early in the case, calling Martin a boy, a kid, a child. And many of the people writing notes of support to George Zimmerman seem to be reacting to what they saw playing out right here in the streets of Sanford, Florida. Nearly a quarter of the people supporting Zimmerman objected to race being an issue in this case. Some blamed the media. Others blamed leaders of the protests. Some went even further to suggest a conspiracy at work, or that Zimmerman was himself a victim of racism. A few made comments offering a possible glimpse into a racial divide and racially motivated resentment.
He vowed to serve and protect, but now a West Sacramento, California police officer is charged with using his badge to sexually assault at least 6 women. He's off the force and being held on $26 million bail. Nick James has the story.
The entire department is shocked that something like this could have happened.
The arrest is nothing short of stunning. West Sac police say one of their own, Officer Sergio Alvarez, repeatedly sexually assaulted women while on duty and on patrol.
I'm just appalled and sickened that someone who was put in a position of trust would violate that trust.
Police say Alvarez worked solo on the graveyard shift for 5 years, cruising up and down the West Capitol corridor, an area known for prostitution. Investigators say he stopped women walking around and sexually assaulted them, sometimes in his patrol car. Other times they say he'd take them somewhere. Alvarez faces 35 felony charges, including multiple counts of sodomy, rape, oral copulation, and kidnapping. 6 victims have been ID'd so far, all women between the ages of 20 and 47. Police say some of the women were assaulted more than once.
He was quiet, family man, devoted to his family. Seemed like he was a hardworking guy. Saw him in uniform all the time. Saw his colleagues at the house on occasion in uniform.
Former neighbors of the now former cop are beyond shocked. They say Alvarez is married with 3 kids. He grew up here, graduated from River City High, and took his first job as a cop in West Sacramento. It may be his last. After spending months on administrative leave, he was officially fired Monday, charged, and booked into the Yolo County Jail on $26.3 million bail.
Time now for our WVTT Wall Street wrap-up as we take a look at the closing numbers, sponsored by News Radio 96.7 WVTT. The Dow ended up after a sharp decline yesterday, up almost 120 points and within 100 points of the 14,000 mark. The Dow closed at 13,904, NASDAQ up almost 15, closing at 3131, and the S&P up a little over 9, closing at 1497.18. Coming up on Twin Tiers Evening News, a look at WVTT sports, including our SBU Corner. We'll take a look at the WVTT community calendar and also a snowy WVTT Severe Weather Action Team forecast. Stay tuned. This is News Channel 25 WVTT.